Good morning, guys. Morning, Sika. Morning, Danielle.
Morning. Do we know how soon the rabbi is going to be giving the shiur again? And how?
So as of now, what he told me yesterday is he's hoping to give the second daf on Sunday. So he wants me to give today, give tomorrow, and to give the first one on Sunday. That's what his hope is.
Good morning, Danny. Good morning, Tzvika.
Hey,
Morning, good morning.
Danielle Hassan, I was just thinking, I noticed yesterday at times the screen went from being on me to being on everybody. And then at one point it was like just on Omri. I don't know if you want to, I don't know if that's the way it's going to Chabad.org, but if it is, then maybe we should, like, I don't know.
Let me try to.
I heard that after Omri came on, there was the amount of that joined the daf.
Yeah, that's it.
Is Omri on?
Actually, for some reason, they don't have yesterday's class up there. I don't know why. I texted my friend Moshe Berghoff to see.
I hope I can fix this.
Yes, I did.
What's that?
I saw yesterday stuff twice.
What did my aunt say?
I saw yesterday on podcast. I got it. Download your stuff, and again I saw it on YouTube.
No, I understand, but I'm saying that yesterday, the one we gave yesterday, which was 21, Chaf Aleph, should have been on Chabad.org today. So the meaning yesterday they had Daf Chaf, right? So
Yeah.
the one we gave yesterday, which was Chaf Aleph, should have been on there today, but it's not. If you go to 20, then the next daf, it takes you to Chagiga or something like that. I don't know why, but maybe the guy that does it is.
I got it 6 p.m. Yesterday at 6 or 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. I got an email of Chaf Aleph.
Okay, guys.
Something human mistake.
Okay, guys, everybody please mute yourselves. We're going to start in 30 seconds.
Shalom.
Morning, Yaakov. Okay. Okay. With the help of Hashem, let's start that again. Okay. Mikhaim. With the help of Hashem Yisbarach, today we're going to learn Masechta Shabbos Daf Chaf Beis. We left off yesterday about 16 lines up on Chaf Aleph Amud Beis, so we will start from there. We want to dedicate today's learning to a complete, speedy Refuah Shalema for Harav Abraham Meir and Rivka, to our good friend Yisrael Avadia ben Rachel, another good friend Lady Yitzchak ben Rivka, and all others out there, the Soich Klal Yisrael, that need a Refuah Shalema. They should be granted it speedily, especially being that today is Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and we know that Rosh Chodesh Nisan Nigalu, Rosh Chodesh Nisan Asidim Li'Yisgoel. So, guys, we got to be ready. It's happening, and God willing, soon everybody will be healed, and we'll all be together. And we'll get ready to greet Mashiach Tzidkenu. Amen. Starting from the Gemara of, I'm going to go back just a drop where we said Tanu Rabbanan Ner Chanukah Mitzvah Lanicha Al Pesach Pesach. The requirement and the mitzvah is to place the Ner Chanukah by the entrance of one's door, Bibachutz on the outside. In Dar Aliyah, if you live upstairs, Manicha B'chaloin Asmucha Rishus Harabim. You put it by the window that's close to Rishus Harabim in a time of danger. So then, Manicha Al Shulchan V'Dayin. You just put it on the table in your house, in the dining room, and you're fine. Chaim, please mute yours if you can. Amar Rav says, Sarach Ner Acheret L'Shtamish La'Oira. Okay? You need to light another candle in your house to use for its light, so that you're not using the light of the Chanukah menorah. But if you have a large fire burning in your room, then you don't need an extra candle to light because you already have the additional light in your room, in your house. But if the individual is someone who's a very chashuv guy, even though there's a torch or a bonfire in the room, he still needs another candle. Why? Because otherwise it will appear as if he lit the menorah for his own purposes, because chashuv people, they don't use these meduras for light. And therefore, I think that this is probably what we all do today, where we all have a shamish. That is the ner acheres, and we all use that for our lights. All right, starting the sugya, my Hanukkah. What's the reason for Hanukkah? Tan Rabbanan. The Rabbanan taught, yeah, the Kislev, Yomi the Hanukkah, and the 25th of Kislev is the days of Hanukkah. So, Kamanya, the mispad behind, this honors behind. There are 8 days altogether, and it's not permitted to make hespedim or to have fast days. Because when the Yevonim, these evil Syrian Greeks, entered into the Beis Hamikdash, so Timu Kol Hashmanim Shebeheichol, they were metama all the oil, Ubasher Gavra, Machas Beis Chashmonaim and Yitzcham, and when the Chashmonaim, the house of the Chashmonaim, were victorious, and they defeated the evil Syrian Greeks. So Badku V'Loi Matzu Alapach Echad Shema, they only found one flask of oil that was intact with the seal of the Kohen Gadol. It was only enough oil for 1 day. And a nace happened. It burned for 8 days. So kabuam v'asoam yamim tayvim halal v'hayda. So in recognition of this amazing miracle, they these 8 days were established as a Yom Tov with Hallel and Haidah. Just to note, in regards to finding the Pach Shemen with the seal of the Kohen Gadol, there's a question brought down that the Goyim have the halachic status of a Tumah Zav. Okay, and if you have Tumah Zav, right? So the question is asked, who cares if it was sealed, right? Even a sealed jar of oil, if it's, by the way, Danielle, right now we see Gabe's iPhone in big on the screen. I don't know why it says that. Maybe it's better if it shows me. I don't know if you can adjust that.
I see you, Danny.
Okay. All right, that's fine. So you guys hear the question? The question is, just because it was sealed, how did you know that it wasn't mitame? Meaning, if one of the Yevonim had simply touched that jar or shaken it, then it wouldn't matter that it was sealed. So the whole focus that it's sealed is it doesn't necessarily tell you that it was okay to be used. So they answer a couple of different answers, but basically they say that the fact that they found it like almost buried in the ground, and it was very clear from where they found it that it had not been discovered at all, that it was not touched, wasn't manipulated by the Yevonim, and therefore they knew that the sealed oil could be used for the menorah. And again, here is like what we discussed yesterday at the end of the shiur. The famous question, is if they found the oil and it burned for 8 days, why is the miracle for 8 days? It should really be for 7 days. And we discussed yesterday. I mentioned there's a sefer that has, I think, over 100 answers to this question. But the answer that I discussed yesterday in the shiur, which was brought down by the Rebbe, which is that the oil itself was not some miracle oil, but actually it was shemen zayis. It was olive oil. And the miracle was that this oil, while it was being consumed, it was also, so to speak, being regenerated. So it was burning and it was not burning. And that itself was a miracle the entire way. So it was a miracle even the first day, because all 8 days you had this oil that was being consumed and not consumed. And therefore, it was a miracle all 8 days. Okay, moving forward.
Quick question. Did we learn elsewhere that they were relighting every night? Like that year when the Nes happened?
Yes, I believe so. Go on.
I just wanted to speak that out because like I found that to be like, I always had it in my mind like that the miracle was it just burned straight.
Yes, yeah. The Kohen Gadol would light or relight the menorah every single day. And the candles would go out and he would light them from the Ner Ma'aravi, which we're about to discuss in the Gemara. Okay, but yes, it would burn down and then it would be relit. So I suppose that in the time of the miracle of Hanukkah, they went out or they put them out and then they relit them. Okay, so Tanan Hassan. We learned in a Mishnah over there, gates, hayotze mitachas hapatish v'yotze v'hizik. Okay, this is like it's a Bava Kama sugya that's coming here. It's connected to Hanukkah. That's why they put it over here. So if a spark flies out from under the blacksmith's hammer and it went and it damaged someone else's property, so the spark flew out and it caused someone else's property to burn down. So Chayev, the blacksmith is Chayev. Gamol sheta'on kishdan bu'oiver b'rishus harabim. If you had a camel that was laden with flax, right, and it was passing through Rishus Harabim, so you had this camel, it had a big load of flax, and what happened was the flax was protruding outward, and as he was going through the streets, the flax was sticking out into the stores as it went by. So what happened was you had a store owner, he had a fire burning, like a torch or whatever, in his store. So what happened? The flax from the camel caught fire from inside of the store. Okay, so Gamol Shatan Pishabu Iber B'Shis Harabim, the Nichnas of Pishtanoi L'Soichechanas, the flax protruded into the shop. The Dolka B'Neirei Shochenveni, and then it got lit from the fire that was in the Chenveni, the shopkeeper's store. The Hidlik Esabira, and then it caused a fire on someone's house, right? It caused a mansion to catch fire. So who's chayiv? Is it the store owner? Is it the camel owner? The Gemara says Bal Hagomol chayiv, the owner of the camel is chayiv. But if the store owner had fire sticking out of his store in Rosh Hashanah, so in such a case, chenveni chayiv. In such a case, the shopkeeper is chayiv. Yehuda says the Ner Chanukah pater, if he had put Ner Chanukah outside his store, and then the camel went by, and it caught fire from his menorah. So in that case, we say he's pater. So if it's a regular fire that the shopkeeper puts in Rosh Hashanah, he's chayiv. If it's a menorah, he's pater. Why? The answer is because this was the proper way to go about it. So normally, you as a shop owner are not supposed to put fires in the street. If you put fire in the street, you're liable. But if you put your menorah in the street, that's the proper thing to do. So during the time of Hanukkah, if you're a camel owner, you have to be careful that when you load up the flax on the back of your camel, that you're going to make sure that it's, that at that time of the year, there's going to be fires all over the street because of Hanukkah, and therefore the shopkeeper will not be chayiv. Now, tangentially, does that mean that the camel owner is chayiv instead of the store owner? I don't know. It just says that the store owner in this case is not chayiv. So Amar Ravina Mashum de Rabba, Ravina says, Ner Chanukah mitzvah la'anicha b'sei chasara. It's a mitzvah to place the menorah within 10 tefachim of the ground. If you think that it's kosher to light the menorah even above 10 tefachim, So so then you the store owner, you should have placed your menorah higher than, let's say, the level of a camel, and in such a case, there would be no issue of the flax catching fire. Meaning, if it was okay, if it's appropriate to place your menorah higher than 10 tefachim, so then we would think that the chandani would have to place the menorah above 10 tefachim, and from the fact that here we're saying that he's not liable, that's a proof that you have to place it below 10 tefachim or below, and that's why, because that's the usual placement of the menorah, therefore he's not chayiv for the damage done by the camel with the flax on Hanukkah. So that's the attempted proof of Ravina. So the Gemara says, nah, I don't think so. The Dilma mitrachale tuva, mitzvah. Maybe the reality is that that you really could place the menorah above 10 tefachim. So this is not a proof that it must be 10 tefachim or below. Elamai, we're afraid that if you force a storekeeper to place the menorah above 10 tefachim, right? Like say, hey, you have to make sure that you place it higher than the place where a camel comes by. You have to get on a ladder, erect a platform, put it very high. It's a whole tircha. There's a good chance that he's just going to say, forget it, I'm not going to do this mitzvah. So as a result, that's why we said that even if he puts it in the street at a regular height and it catches fire, he's not chayiv, okay? But it's not a proof that you're not allowed to put it higher than that. Sure, you're allowed to put it higher than that. We just did not force the storekeeper to do so because it would be too much of a tircha. Omer Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana says, Darash Rav Nosson bar Manyumi, Mishmei de Rabbi Tanchum. Rav Nosson bar Manyumi expounded in the name of Rabbi Tanchum, turning to Chav Beis Amid Aleph, Ner shel Chanukah shenicha l'mayla me'eshem ama, psula kesuka u'kamavoy. A Chanukah that's a Ner Chanukah, so menorah that's placed higher than 20 amos, it's puzzle. And similarly, a sukkah and a mavoy that are also above, what are we talking about here? Sukkah, we know that if you have a sukkah that's more than 20 amos high, and the schach is 20 amos high, it's puzzle. And similarly, by a mavoy, we know we learned previously, and we've learned elsewhere that the din with a mavoy, which is like an alleyway, a closed alleyway, that if you want to carry inside the mavoy, you have to set up something called a kaira or a lechi, right? So the kaira, which is a cross beam that you put at the entrance to the mavoy, it basically serves as a heker for the people in the mavoy to know that this is where the boundary of the mavoy ends, right? So if it's higher than 20 amos, it doesn't function to allow carrying inside the mavoy because it's too high and it's not noticeable. Okay, so these three concepts, menorah, sukkah, mavoy, each for their own reasons, are puzzle or if it's above 20 amos. Of Amar Rav Kahana, Rav Kahana says, Darash Rav Nosson bar Manyumi b'shmei Rav Tanchum. Now that the Gemara, in Shas, they do this a lot. If they bring one, let's say, related topic from one source, they'll often say another halacha or another story or something from that individual. So here, Rav Kahana says, Darash Rav Nosson bar Manyumi b'shmei Rav Tanchum. Another one might exist. V'habor reik ein boy mayim. It says in the pasuk where we're talking about the story of the brothers throwing Yosef into the pit. What does it say? It says the boir was empty. Ein boy mayim. There was no water in it. From the fact that it says that the boir was empty, so obviously we know in Yadesh ein boy mayim. Don't I know that there was no water? Obviously there was no water in it. El Talmud loymar ein boy mayim. What's it telling us? It's telling us that there was no water in it. Yeah, mayim ein boy. But there were snakes and scorpions in the pit. So,
Amen.
Thank you. So it's such as much as often the Gemara will bring unrelated stories or halachas from the same author, the commentators still try to make a connection to this story to what we've been learning previously. So one of the things I heard yesterday on this topic is, what's this whole story with the brothers and how it connects to our halachas of Hanukkah? What do we just talked about the idea of 20 amos on the menorah, meaning if the menorah is above 20 amos, it's not kosher because of this concept that it's beyond a normal individual's eyesight. You're not looking above 20 amos. So too the story with the brothers. It's interesting. What happened here with the brothers throwing Yosef into the pit? The reason why they threw him into the pit was they wanted to save his life, right? So you would ask yourself, wait a minute, if they're throwing him into a pit of snakes and scorpions, that's seemingly going to kill him. Why would they do such a thing, right? So you could possibly answer that the pit was 20 amos. And so they actually couldn't see the fact that there were snakes and scorpions in there. They just thought they were throwing him into a pit and he was going to come back afterwards and save his life, right? So that's the connection between this concept of Ner Hanukkah and the pit, where the brothers threw Yosef, that the pit was, well, now I was thinking if they threw a guy into a 20-amma pit, he'd probably die. So Mistama, they didn't throw him. They probably lowered it in by a rope. That's my own thought on the matter. But either way, the idea that it was 20 amas, therefore they didn't see the Nechashim B'Akrabim. Therefore, they didn't know that they would be killing him. They just thought they'd be putting him into a pit and they were going to save his life afterwards. So that was that. I heard another verse on the Nechashim B'Akrabim that asks, I don't understand. What's this? If they were trying to save his life, why did they put him into a pit full of snakes and scorpions? So the answer is, listen, what he was trying to save them with, Reuben was trying to save Yosef from being killed by the brothers. Now, in life, okay, if Hashem wants you to stay alive, we all have the shiur chashiv. So if an individual wants to go and kill someone, even if Hashem wants that person to stay alive, that person can commit murder, and that the person that's being killed is going to be dead, right? However, when it comes to, let's say, coronavirus, or if it's coming to snakes and scorpions, that's not something that's being done by an individual. That's something that's being done by Hashem, right? So the brothers, Reuben's chap was, hey, I'm going to throw Yosef into the pit. Therefore, I'm going to prevent him from being murdered by an actual person. I know there's snakes and scorpions in there, but if the snakes and scorpions, if he's really a tzaddik and he deserves to live, so then the snakes and scorpions won't kill him, because that's between him and the Eibishter, okay? Whereas if he was not thrown into the pit and he was just there with the brothers, then they would have physically killed him. And in such a case, you would have no raya that he's a tzaddik, that he did deserve or didn't deserve to die, because the shiur chashiv, anybody has the ability to murder anybody. That was another part on this. Let's move forward. Amar Rabba says, Ner Chanukah mitzvah anichat tefach hasmuch la Pesach. Where are you supposed to put the menorah? You're supposed to put it within a tefach of the doorway to one's house. The heichal manachle. Where do you actually put it? Rabba Amar miyamin. Acha, the son of Rabba, says you put it on the right side of the door. Rav Shmuel Medifti Amar mismoel. Rav Shmuel Medifti says you put it on the left side. The hilchasa mismoel. We pass in that you put it on the left side. Why? You should put the Ner Chanukah you should have the Ner Chanukah on the left and the mezuzah on the right, and therefore we know this concept that when you come into the doorway, you can be surrounded by mitzvahs. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rabbi Asi, Amar Rav, Osur lahartzois mois keneged Ner Chanukah. You're not allowed to sit there and count money in front of the Chanukah light. Kamrisa Kamei de Shmuel. When I said this halacha over in front of Shmuel, he asked, "Wait, is there some sort of inherent holiness in the candles that prevents you from degrading it or disrespecting it by counting your money in front of it? Certainly not." And so this was a machlokes, I guess, between Rav Asi Amar Rav and Shmuel as to whether you're allowed to count your money or do mundane activities in front of the candlelight. the candlelight of the menorah. So Maskal Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef asked a question on Shmuel's opinion that you are allowed to do things like counting money in front of the menorah. Kedusha Yeshboy. Are you going to say this? Meaning, it sounds from Shmuel's response that he's saying because there's no inherent Kedusha in the light of the menorah, so therefore you should be able to do anything you want in front of it. And so he asked a question from Dam. We all know when you slaughter a bird or a chaya, right? There's a mitzvah of kisei adam. You slaughter a deer, you slaughter a chicken. We all know by kaparas when you go to David Schmuckler or Moshe Berghoff and they shech the chickens. What do? They have a pile of dirt, and you take the dirt, you put it in your hand, you cover it, and you make the bracha al kisei adam, right? You make the al kisei adam ba'ofer, and you cover the blood. So the Tanya is taught in a brisa, the shofach the chisa, that you spill the blood and then you cover it. And there's a limud that with what you slaughter it, which is with what? With your hand, right? With your hand, that's what you should cover it with. You should not cover the blood with your foot. You don't kick the dirt on top of the blood. Rather, you cover it with your hand. The mitzvah should not be treated as bezuyas, as contemptible, right? So hachanami, so too over here by the Chanukah menorah. The whole reason you don't do things like counting money in front of the menorah is because you don't want the mitzvahs to be bezuyos. So Rishu ben Levi, they asked the question by Rishu ben Levi, Mahu l'stapik minuye sukkah kol shiva. What is the halacha about basically using or eating the decorations of the sukkah during the sukkah? So in those days, this is clearly a non-Chabad sukkah, because you know that the only decoration in the Chabad sukkah we put is a picture of the Rebbe and maybe a sign of the Shpizin. And maybe if your kid goes to Gan Chabad, you can get a few of those chains that the kids make, put some of those. But in general, we do not decorate our sukkah. But in those days, they did decorate the sukkah, and what they would decorate it was with fruits and nuts. They would hang fruits and nuts from across the sukkah, put it on the wall. So the question was, let's say you're sitting there on sukkahs. You have all these beautiful fruits that are adorning the inside of your sukkah. You say, I'm kind of hungry. I would love to chop that apple and have it as a snack. So are you allowed to, or are you not allowed to? So this is a similar concept as to counting money in front of the menorah, or covering the blood in the case of kisei adam. It's the same idea as that here. There's a mitzvah of sukkah. There's a decoration that's connected to it. So is it disrespectful to then take those decorations and use them, right? So Amar Lahem, Hari Amru Asur Lahartis Mois Keneged Chanukah. He answered, hey, we already know the din that Rav Asi Amar Rav said, that it's asur to count money in front of the Ner Chanukah. So similarly, you would not be able to chop an apple from hanging as a decoration from your sukkah. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Mari Davram, Holy Tanya, the Tanya, you're basing a ruling that was taught in a brisa on something that was taught by an Amira. It doesn't make sense. Meaning the din by Hanukkah was taught by an Amira. The din by the decorations was taught, but this din by Sukkah was taught in a brisa, right? Sukkah Tanya, it was clearly taught in a brisa. Hanukkah loy Tanya. The Tanya is tested in a brisa. Sichsa kihilchasa. Someone covered his sukkah, right, with proper schach. Itra be kromim. Ubis dinin hamitzu yarin, and he beautified it with colored curtains, embroidered linens, the salaba egoizim, aparskin shkedim b'rimayim, and then he hung in it nuts, peaches, almonds, pomegranates, uparkile anobim ba'atore shibolim, or clusters of grapes, wreaths of grain, yenish shmonim, uslasais, jars containing wine, oil, fine flour. Seems that the whole pantry was used as as decorations for the sukkah back in those days, as opposed to today, where instead of using real fruits, in some communities, they use plastic fruits. Also, this topic, man, he's usher to partake of these foods. Ad Matzi Yontif Apen Shachag. Until Matzi Yontif, okay, until you're going into maybe Shmini Atzeres. At that point, you could probably take them and eat them. The Im Hisna Lehem, however, if he made a Tanai when he was hanging the decorations, he's saying, I'm hanging these fruits on my sukkah al Tanai, that I'm able to use them during sukkah, so hakalafi Tanai. Then everything goes according to his Tanai. So Elam Rav Yosef, Rav Yosef says to him, Avuhain the Chulhu Dam. So actually, the father that teaches us all these dinim is in fact the mitzvah of Kisei Hadam, that we know Kisei Hadam, we learned from the pasuk that you have to use it from your hand, right? So that's the limud. Instead of, we don't learn the decorations of sukkah from the halacha of the menorah, but rather they're both learned from Kisei Hadam. Just like Kisei Hadam, you have to shech with your hand, so too you have to do it with your hand, because otherwise it's a bizoyan to the mitzvah. So too by the decorations, so too by the menorah. Now, it's the thing with the decorations, just to clarify, it's an inyan of muksa, right? So because they were set up as decorations for the sukkah, it's muksa. You're not allowed to touch it during sukkah. So I heard somewhere on this connection of muksa that the whole reason why it's muksa is because it would be a bizayon, meaning the reason that it's muksa is because of the bizayon to the sukkah of taking down the decorations that you put up. Therefore, it's muksa. All right, moving forward. Itmar, it was stated, Rav Omar Imadikim Minel. Rav says you're not allowed to light one candle from the next candle when you're lighting the menorah. Shmuel Omar Madlikim. Shmuel says you are able to. Rav Omar Ematir and Tzitzis Mebeged Lebeged. Rav says these were three dinim that they argued, Rav and Shmuel. So one was, can you light one candle from the next with menorah? The other issue was, can you take tzitzis off one beged and add it to another beged? So Rav says no, you cannot. Shmuel says sure, why not? What's the difference? If you're taking it off from one beged to put it as another beged, it's a mitzvah. So what's the difference if it's on beged A or beged B? Whereas Rav holds obviously that this is a bizoyan to the existing tzitzis. Rav Omer ein halacha k'Shmuel b'grira and k'Rabbi Shimon b'grira. And the third machlekes here between Rav and Shmuel is Rav says that the halacha is not like Rabbi Shimon in the case of dragging. This is a famous machlekes between Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda in Hilchos Shabbos as to whether you do something called a davar she'ein miskaven, right? Are you chayiv or are you pater? Okay, it's interesting that here he points out, he says, halacha, ain halacha Reb Shimon. Okay, he doesn't say that the halacha is like Reb Yehuda. I'm not sure why they do it that way. Shmuel Amar, halacha Reb Shimon b'gira. We do hold that the halacha is like Reb Shimon, the davar she'ein miskaven. I believe halacha lemaisa, we do paskin like Reb Shimon. Today, if you drag a table on Shabbos, if you're not intending for it to rip out the grass, then you are allowed to. The exception being if you know for a fact that it's going to do it. So if you have a woman walking in high heels across the grass and you don't know if it's going to rip out grass, it's not a problem. But if you know bevadai that it's going to rip out the grass, then we're machmer and we say you're not allowed to do it. Amar Abaya says, Kol mili demar ovid karav, lebar mahane tlaz avid kishmol. He says that he learned, right? He Abaye learned from his Rebbe, which was Rabbi Bar Nachmani, that you always paskin like Rav, except for in these three instances where he paskin like Shmuel. This idea of you being able to light from one candle to the next, or this the ability for one to take tzitzis off a beged and apply it to another beged. The halacha Reb Shimon b'grira, and that the halacha is taka like Reb Shimon when the case of dragging. The Tanya was taught in a brayso. Reb Shimon Aimer Geirir Adam Mita Kisei V'Safsol. A person could drag a bed, a chair, and a bench across the ground. Shabbos b'lat shelo yiskaven So long as he's not intending to make a furrow, right? He's not trying to plow up the dirt. He's just trying to move his table across his backyard. So as long as it's Einem Miskaven, he's able to do it. Yosef Ahumer Abonon Kamedu Rav Ada Bar Ava. One of the young rabbis was sitting in front of Ada Bar Ava. The Yosef Akamer, and he said, Taima the Rav Mishum Bizui Mitzvah. The reason that Rav says you're not a light from one candle to the next is because it's a bizui mitzvah. The same thing we were talking about before, this whole concept of you're not allowed to disgrace the mitzvah. So lighting from one candle from the next, it's disrespectful to the mitzvah of the menorah. Amr lahu loy tisyatulei. Don't listen to him. It has nothing to do with bizui mitzvah. Actually, time de Rav mashum become machish mitzvah. It's because you're diminishing the mitzvah. So this concept of the reason why Rav says you can't do it, if it's because of bizui mitzvah, so you might ask yourself, wait a minute, what's the issue of bizui mitzvah if you're lighting one candle from the next? So it seems that what he's talking about here is when you use a wood chip, or in our case, let's say a match, right, and you're taking the fire from one candle that's already lit and you're moving it to the next one, right? So this is a disrespectful act because you're actually lighting something that's not the mitzvah, in this case, the match or the wood chip, from a fire of the candle, right? And if you're doing that, that's a bizoyin. However, if you're lighting one candle and you're just touching the other candle, that seemingly would not fall under the problem of bizoyin mitzvah. On the other hand, the issue of when you light something from an existing candle, it gets a little bit reduced, okay? It reduces the fire a little bit. That's what it seems to be saying. So that would be an issue, both whether you're using an outside item like a wood chip or a match, or even if you're lighting the candle directly from the candle next to it, it's diminishing it a little bit, that would be problematic. So my binayu, what's the difference whether you say the kamakish mitzvah or if you say bizu mitzvah? Mishraga, lishraga. The difference is when you're lighting directly from one candle to the next, as I just explained, the one that holds that it's a bizoy to the mitzvah. So mishraga, lishraga, madlik. Rav would agree that if you lit it directly one from the next, there's no disrespect because candle A is a mitzvah, candle B is a mitzvah. If I light candle B from candle A, what disrespect was done? There was no it wasn't used for anything that wasn't the mitzvah. Whereas Manda Omar Achushi mitzvah, the Manda Omar holds that it has to do with this concept of diminishing it a little bit. So Mishaga Lishraga Nami Usr. So it's not just usr to light it from a wood chip or from a match. Even if you lit it directly from the other candle, it would be usr. So Masav Rav Avya retorted by citing a brisa that says Sela Shel Ma'aser Sheni. Turning to Chavbez on If you had a amount of money of Ma'aser Sheni, ain't Sheiklin Kenegdei Din Rei Zahav. You cannot use consecrated money that was already consecrated for Ma'aser Sheni, right, and use that on a scale to weigh out additional monies, even if those monies were also being used for Ma'aser Sheni. Afilu lechalel alav Ma'aser Sheni acher. Meaning you're taking, okay, I have coins that I consecrated for Ma'aser Sheni, right? Meaning how did that work? You had food that was designated for Ma'aser Sheni, but you couldn't. It was too much to transport. So what you did was you would transfer the kedusha of the food, of the grain, onto the equivalent money amount. So let's say I had $200 worth of grain, Ma'aser Sheni. I take $200 of coins, and this becomes makdish as Ma'aser Sheni. So now I have these holy coins. Now I realize, hey, I have more grain that's also Ma'aser Sheni, and I need to do the same thing. But I realize, hey, it's the same amount. I want to make sure I get the same amount of money. So I want to take my Ma'aser Sheni money, put it on one end of the scale, and take regular mundane money, put it on the other side of the scale, weigh it out, and that money is going to be consecrated as Ma'aser Sheni. We say, even in that case where we're trying to make money into Ma'aser Sheni money, you're not allowed to use Ma'aser Sheni money that's already been consecrated as a counterweight to the mundane money. Why? Now, if you want to say that the machlokes of Rav and Shmuel, right, is on this whole topic of lighting from one ner to the other ner, right? Avol, Bekinsa, Aser Shmuel, but if it had to do so they were arguing. If you want to say that they were only arguing when you light the candle directly from the other candle, then how you like to have it to yufta. But in the case where he was lighting it from a match, so then they were in agreement that you're not allowed to do it. So how like to yufta the shmuel, there's no. I'm sorry, this brisa would not be any sort of disproof from that, because we could say that the same way that the match was an outside item, and therefore it was disrespectful to the mitzvah of Hanukkah, so too the money that was not consecrated is disrespectful to the existing money that is already consecrated, right? But if you want to say that Shmuel holds that when he says you're allowed to light from candle to candle, not just directly are you allowed to light, even with a match, Shmuel disagrees with Rav and says you're allowed to light it. So then, hey, tiyufta, it seems like this would be a tiyufta on Shmuel's opinion of it not being a bizoyin, because it seems to here, with the case of the money, it's the same situation. You're taking something that is mundane and you're using it to turn it into something that's holy. And yet we still say, the Brisa says you're not allowed to do it. So if so, in the case of menorah, where you're taking a match or you're taking a wood chip and you're lighting from one candle and you want to light the other candle, right? You should not be allowed to do it. Amar Rabba says, Gzeira, that this ruling, okay, of the coins of Meiser Sheni, this is just a Gzeira. Shema lo yiskavim b'mishkolosav. But perhaps what's going to happen here is in the case of Meiser Sheni, it's not about a bizoyin to the mitzvah. That's basically his answer. And therefore, even if you want to say that Shmuel holds that if Shmuel argues, even in the case of using a match, there's no proof from here against that, because Meiser Sheni is a different story. The whole point here is that he's afraid that the weights are not going to match up. And then what's going to happen is he's going to allow the coins to remain unconsecrated, in which case what happens is that what's going to happen is, let's say he has the consecrated money of Meiser Sheni. Let's just say it's a seller, right? He's going to take another amount and put it opposite it. Now what happens is, let's just say the unconsecrated money he puts is a little heavier, right? So what he's going to do, he's going to take some off, right? So what ends up happening is you ended up using the Makdish money, and you actually used it against some Chulin money, right? That would be disrespectful. So in that case, that's what the Gzeira was specifically by Meiser Sheni. But therefore, you don't have a proof from there that you can't ever use, let's say in the case of the menorah, a match or a wood chip. All right, moving forward. Most of Rav Sheshes. It says in the pasuk that outside of the Kodesh Kadashim, that's where you would put the menorah. So ask the question: does the Eibishter need the light of the menorah? For 40 years, the Jews were traveling in the desert, and how did they see in the desert? The Eibishter lit it up. So if the Eibishter caused light for the Jews for 40 years in the desert, why do we think that he needs this menorah to light up the Beis Hamikdash for him? The Eibishter needs the light. Anyhow, it's an interesting question, and I'm sure there's a lot of commentary on it. I mean, there was one. I think Tosfos asked why it's the top Tosfos over there. So wait a minute, what are you talking about? That God gave us light for 40 years in the desert. God gives us light every day. The sun rises every single day, right? This is the light of Hashem. You know, we Baruch Hashem every morning we wake up, we have light, right? So why are they dafka referencing the 40 days? anyhow, the Ayin Taiser Sham, you could look into the answers over there. Moving forward. So rather, the whole point of the menorah is that it's a testimony for all mankind. That the divine presence rests with the Bnei Yisrael. My Eidos. What exactly is this Eidos? Amar Rav Zu Ner Maravi. This was the western lamp of the menorah. They put the same amount of oil in the Ner Maravi as all of them, and yet from that they would kindle all the other lights, and that and the lighting would conclude with that one. So there was like a miracle done with the Ner Maravi that it had the same amount of oil as all of the lamps, yet it always outburned all the other ones, right? And just to note, there's a machlokes as to which candle was the Ner Maravi. Okay, and it depends on the two shittas as how the menorah was placed in the Beis Hamikdash, whether it was north to south or was east to west. Anyhow, according to one opinion, it would be the middle candle because the middle candle was closer to the west, and for the other opinion is the second one from the end, or the middle one. So either way, that is the Ner Ma'aravi. Okay, so now here comes the Shaila. So now we're talking about in the menorah, right? That they lit each of the candles from the Ner Ma'aravi. So now the kaviyei neiros, right? If the branches were permanently attached, right? So lo yisagid alei mishkova adluke, it's impossible. How are they lighting the other branches from the Ner Ma'aravi? They must have taken an outside item, a wood chip, a match, right? Or like what we do with our menorahs, we have a shamash, right? We light the shamash, and then we use that to light the others. The Ner Ma'aravi was fixed in the menorah. So how did they light the other candles from the Ner Ma'aravi? They must have used an outside item, right? In order to, so it seems like is the haraya that it's okay to use a wood chip with the menorah to light one candle to the next, right? Does that make sense? Sorry, hold on 1 second.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, that's my housekeeper is calling me to send her an Uber. We'll get back to that. All right. So everybody understands the question. So kasha, it's a kasha on Rav. Bein lemad omar mishum bezuyi mitzvah. Bein lemad omar mishum ach chushay mitzvah. Whether you say that it was bezuyi mitzvah, you know, because it's disrespectful, or you wanted to say that it's because it reduces the light of the mitzvah. According to either of those explanations, what happened in the Beis Hamikdash seemingly is problematic. In that it seems that it's neither considered a bizayan nor is it considered achushe mitzvah. So Pargamar Papa explains that the psilas aruchais, that in the menorah, the Ner Ma'aravi had really, really long wicks. And basically, because it had really long wicks, that's how they were able to light it from it, even though it was staying in its place. So, side, so okay, fine. So this answers that they didn't have an outside item. They didn't have a wood chip or a match that then was using it to lit. So that answers the opinion of Bizuy Mitzvah. But according to them, the answer that, I'm sorry, who was it? It was Rav Adabar Ava, right? He said, no, it's not because of Bizuy Mitzvah. He said it's because the Kamakish Mitzvah, that there's this idea that when you light one candle from the next, it diminishes it a little bit. So if such a case, even if you have long wicks, it would be a problem because you're diminishing it. So what did the Gemara say? Kasha, taka kasha, and that would be challenging to understand according to his opinion. So moving forward to the Gemara, my havi Allah. What is the final decision with Hanukkah, whether you can light ner lener or not? Amar Rav Huna Brei de Rav Yeshua. Rav Huna, the son of Yeshua, says, Chazena I hadika oisa mitzvah, madiki ner miner. I hanoch oisa mitzvah, ein madiki ner miner. So now we're getting to this, the sugya of with lighting the menorah. Is it the hadlaka that makes the mitzvah, or is it the hanacha, the placing of the menorah? Is it all about lighting it, or is it all about placing it? If it's all about lighting it, so in such a case, lighting it miner l'ner would not be a problem. Why? Because you're lighting from one mitzvah candle to another mitzvah candle. There's no bizoyin there. However, if the whole issue is about, if the whole mitzvah of menorah is manicha, it's all about placing it. So in such a case, I light a candle. This is for the mitzvah. When I light another candle from that candle, that's not a mitzvah, right? I'm just lighting it. The whole mitzvah is about the hanacha. So in such a case, you would not be allowed to light miner l'ner. So that's the correlation that we're making here between the trying to figure out if the hadlaka is the mitzvah or the hanacha is the mitzvah. Because if the hadlaka is the mitzvah, it would be no problem seemingly to light miner l'ner. If the hanacha is the mitzvah, then it would be a problem to light miner l'ner. So the Belelli, this was discussed by Chacham. Hadlaka isa mitzvah, ay hanacha isa mitzvah. Hadlaka isa mitzvah, ay hanacha isa mitzvah. Is it the lighting or is it the placing? So Tashma, we learned Tashma the Amar Rava said, Hayatafush ner Chanukah v'aymed. If one was standing, holding his Hanukkah light from the time he lit it by the doorway until it went out. So he was standing, holding it in his hands. What do we say? Like asav like klum. He hasn't done anything. He was not shmamina. Hanacha is a mitzvah. Because here he lit the menorah, right? But he was standing there holding it. So Rava says he did not get the mitzvah. In such case, it seems like it's the haraya that the hanacha is the mitzvah because he never placed it down. Therefore, he didn't lay yosav like klum. So therefore, it seems like it would be a raya, a proof that if the hanacha is the mitzvah, then we would say that you are not allowed to light miner l'ner. So, and for the Gemara, no. That is not a proof. Hassan, the reason why, in the case of you lighting it and standing there holding it, you did not get the mitzvah, it's not because it's a proof that hanacha is the mitzvah. In fact, maybe hadlak is the mitzvah, but because any passerby that sees you holding that menorah thinks that you're just holding a candle for your own use. They won't know that you've actually done the mitzvah of Hanukkah, right? And therefore, you don't get the mitzvah because this idea of Fishman is so it's so integral to the mitzvah of Hanukkah. Someone has to be able to look at that menorah and know that that is Ner Hanukkah. And if you're holding it in your hands, they will not know. Tashma, another attempted proof. Amar Rava says, Hidlika b'fnim v'haitzia. If you lit your menorah inside your house, right? And then you carried it outside and placed it by the door. So loy asa klum, he did nothing. So now, if you want to say that the mitzvah is all about hadlaka, so hadlaka b'mkaima b'inan, you need to have the hadlaka in its place, and the place was by the door. He didn't light it by the door; he lit it inside his house. So mishum hachi loy asa klum, he did nothing. So is the haraya, right? That you need the hadlaka b'mkaimai. Amras hanacha is a mitzvah, but if it's all about the hanacha, right, and it's not about the hadlaka, so who cares if he lit it in his house? End of the day, he put it down in the right place, and now it's there. He should get the mitzvah. Why would he say that he did nothing? So it seems like this is a proof that hadlaka is the ikar mitzvah. I'm sorry, that hadlaka is the mitzvah, right? Not the hanacha. So, and for the Gemara, Hassan Nami, someone who sees him doing it, they'll say, he sees him lighting it indoors and carrying it outside. They'll say, oh, the stama, he's just using it for his own purposes. That's not near Hanukkah. Tashma, another attempt to prove. Amar of Yeshua and Levi. Actually, you know what? Let's pick up here tomorrow, right? At the bottom, very bottom of Chav Beis Amud Beis. Tashma, Amar of Yeshua and Levi. I wish everybody a wonderful day. And God willing, Rabbi Z will be back in Hashem in 2 more shiurim or 3 more shiurim. All right.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Chodesh Tov, everybody.
Chodesh Tov.
Oh, Chodesh Tov, guys! Don't forget musical halal, daven and sing because we need it. Chodesh HaGeula.
Chazak u'baruch.
Is that everybody? No?
Amen. Goodbye.